My name is Jimmy Watson. I ran a $40 million crypto scheme with the famous tech billionaire John McAfee until he ended up dead. I was raised on a ranch in West Texas. I had a really good childhood on that farm. I just loved playing Army. I would just dig holes all over the property. My dad was always going up and trying to fill them, falling in them and stuff. I always knew from the time I was little that I was meant for something big. I knew that I was gonna go serve my country. I felt like it would be the ultimate highest calling in the world to jump on a grenade or charge a machine gun nest. My family was gung-ho about me joining the Marine Corps at 16, 17 years old. I chose the Marine Corps because they would take me with a GED and my parents' signature. My parents signed me away so quick it's not even funny, and it changed my life forever. I was in 1st Marines. That's where I grew up. My whole adult life was spent in war. When I was in the Marine Corps, I saw these SEALs. They were badass, tattooed up, muscled guys, looked like prisoners. I idolized those guys. I decided to go all out with the SEAL teams, and I worked my ass off and was finally accepted. I became a Navy SEAL at 27 years old. Navy SEAL is sea, air, and land. You know, we train in all the elements, and I think what separates a SEAL from the rest of the group, it's the water side. We do all maritime operations. We're like gods of the water, you know?
I want to be a Navy SEAL, Dr. Joy.
Oh, hell no, you can't just join the SEALs. To be a SEAL, you have to be one tough SOB. You've got to be a sled dog. They're not looking for weak, watered down, disillusioned guys. So they've got to have the absolute most badass, tough, physical, brutal guys, and then you need to amp that up about 10 times. Nothing is just slow-mo in the SEALs. It's super fast. It's an endurance race. You're carrying double the load of as a lot of soldiers do. Like every other guy is carrying an M60 and carrying tons and tons of ammo. They say a small SEAL team is about a 100-man fighting force. That's the firepower that you're carrying in. The missions in the SEALs are brutal. I mean, try hooking and climbing from a moving vessel onto a massive ship in tumultuous seas where we just had 2 SEALs die last year. You know, it's freaking dangerous. During one of these exercises, I was injured. All I remember is I was on a breath hold. I started seizing out underwater, and I bumped into my buddy seizing out. But he looked, it startled him, so he grabbed me. He cracked my secumars, the 2 bottles of oxygen on my side, rocketed me to the surface. He saved my life, but it also created a bubble in my brain. That created some neurological issues for me, pretty hardcore. And so I retired out of the SEALs. My dream career, all of a sudden, that just goes away. And that was very difficult to process because, you know, I went from this very healthy guy at 30 years old, from this super elite operator with this great physical prowess, to this incapacitated, weak man. I think I lost like probably 40 pounds. I was down to 180 for the first time in years. I was 230 pounds, I think. And I went down to 180 pounds, and I was weak. I was tired all the time. On top of that, now that I was out, I didn't know what to do with myself. I felt like I lost my identity when I got out of the SEAL teams. I'm like, God help me. Like, surely my life is not over, right? And so all of a sudden, my buddy calls me and he's like, yo, bro. And he's got a very distinct voice. He goes, I know this guy who needs protection. And he wanted a former Navy SEAL. And so he's like, you want to go protect this guy, McAfee? I'm like, who the heck is McAfee, bro? He's like, yo, check your computer screen. And I'm like, oh, that McAfee antivirus guy? And he's like, yeah, him. John McAfee was looking for a bodyguard and he wanted a SEAL. That was the call that changed my life forever. In the next 2 hours, I was heading off to San Diego Airport, flying to Ocracoke, North Carolina. So I show up to John McAfee's house. He's super guarded. He's got massive gates around his house. He's got 3 crazy attack dogs. I walk through the door with all these guards. They all have pistols on, but there's smoke everywhere. Everybody's smoking, everybody's drinking. John McAfee comes out, and without a shirt on, he's got tattoos. He's got the white salt pepper hair, crystal blue eyes, and he's got like this Mac 10 across his chest. And he's like, let's talk outside. And I walk outside with him, and he stops abruptly and turns right to my face like he's gonna kiss me. And he's like this close to me, and I can smell the cigarette and scotch all over him. And it's like he stares right through you. He's got the crazy raspy voice. He said, who is the most feared man on the battlefield? And I said, sir, I don't know. And he looked at me, he goes, the oldest man is the most feared man. And I knew exactly what he meant. You don't know shit. You better fear me. That's what he was telling me in that one little statement. He says, do you understand what I just said? And he stared at me and I got chills and I said, yes, sir. And because of that first meeting with John, I absolutely 100% was all in. So I moved into this house and I had this beautiful downstairs, massive bedroom. So I went to sleep with this Glock 40 pistol by my side that first night. And I wake up at 2 in the morning and this shadow figure is standing over me. And I wake up and I'm so startled that I automatically have my hand on the pistol and I see it's John McAfee looking down upon me. And he's got his gun out and he goes, are you ready? And I said, I guess, yeah. And he goes, all right, follow me. And he just jumped off my bed and ran. And I just run up the stairs after him up to the very top deck. And he just stares out the window with these binoculars at night for a long time. And he's like, do you see that? And he gave the binoculars to one of the guards. And one of the guards is like, yep, I see it. And John says, blinking lights, right? And he says, that's right, blinking lights. And he's like, now come here, son, to me. He always called me son. He's like, what do you see? And I'm staring and I'm thinking, dude, I don't see nothing. Like, I don't see nothing. And I just said, sir, I believe you, but I don't see it. And all the guards like look at me like, you're stupid, bro. Like, you know, you're dumb. So the very next day, John McAfee calls me outside. He's got an envelope and I can see it's like a full of money. And I know I'm getting fired. And he's like, son, you know that blinking light last night? And I said, yes, sir. He goes, you were right. There was no blinking light. He hands me the thing of money. He told me to fire the security guard that said he saw the blinking light because everything was a test to John McAfee, everything. And now he knew he could trust me. John McAfee was deep in the crypto game. In 2017, crypto was the total wild west. There was no rules, no regulations whatsoever. John McAfee's company was all about crypto trading, all about marketing, all about setting up different platforms with blockchain technology. John McAfee had a following of 1 million people almost on Twitter. And 75% of them, we did a study later on, 75% of these people did exactly what John McAfee said. So John realized this influence. And so John came up with the coin of the day. Coin of the day was a crypto scam. On Wall Street, they call it a pump and dump scheme of the cryptocurrency. A pump and dump scheme is basically you invest into something. Nobody else knows you've invested in it, but you're the authority behind this product. You take this product and offer it to the market, everybody jumps on board, the value skyrockets, and while this value is skyrocketing of this product, you simply pull all your money out. That's the best way I can describe coin of the day. John trusted me so much. I would pick the coin, I would hand it to John. John would invest $1 million in this coin, let's say. And then the next day, all he would do is he would mention the coin on his Twitter account. He wouldn't say invest in it. No, he would say, this is a shit coin, but I'm gonna say Doge today. That's the coin of the day. But McAfee never said to invest in this coin. He used that reverse psychology. The market skyrockets, they would go up 400%. About 5 seconds after he would tweet, I would just push sell. That's how fast this was. Just the mention of one of these coins on his Twitter account would make millions and millions of dollars for us. We never cared about the coins. We just wanted to sell them for a quick profit. So he started giving me more and more responsibility every day, like epic responsibility, to the point of making big decisions where we would all be sitting at a table for negotiations or whatever it was, and he would literally look at me and say, what do you think, Jimmy? And I'd be like, I think this or this and this and stuff. And he'd be like, oh, it's like me and him got each other. He would look at me and I would look at him, and he was like reading my mind and I was reading his mind. And a lot of people said that I was like a little mini John McAfee without the big brain. One of the main reasons why I became like a son to John and how he trusted me so much as John McAfee could trust somebody is because I was different than everybody else. And the only thing that made me different was I was the only one that he ever approached. Everybody approached John McAfee except for me. He reached out to me through one of my SEAL buddies. And so now that's what built that trust. He knew he could trust me in a way because he reached out to me and brought me into his life. And I had to remind him sometimes of that because he would get super paranoid. He would listen to your phones. I just knew what to do. You know, under his guidance and direction and how he gave me a lot of leeway, doing that over and over, it just gave me confidence. And so we really, really jived together. One day, John McAfee just tweeted out that I was the CEO of his company. I was running his company, but I had no idea I was leading it until that moment. We were making tens of millions of dollars. I went from growing up on this poor farm in Texas to a multi-millionaire. It was crazy. I was flying high on life. I was boozing it up. I was doing speed and nose inhalers. It was all out party all the time and making a ton of money doing it. I was on top of the world, but I had no idea that I was about to be crushed by it all. So one night we're in John McAfee's mansion in Ocracoke. I'm closing up the office, I'm armed, and my primary duty at this point is always, no matter what, protecting John McAfee's life. Number two is making sure millions and millions and millions of dollars are coming into his treasury. And I go downstairs and I hear this bang, 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 bang on the glass door. And I'm kind of shocked, and I looked, and there's this guy, and he's just crazy. He's got drool coming out, his eyes are really wide. He's yelling and screaming with his tongue out. And he's already broken through one major threshold on the property. So I have every right to put him down. I'm willing to die before I let this guy into the house. I draw my pistol, and I walk up to the glass real calmly, and I said, back up. I'm staring him at his eyes, he's staring at me in the eyes. So I have my pistol like this, and I open the door. He says, I'm here for McAfee, and he charges me, runs into me. I grab him and like launch him off the balcony and stairs, and he just lands like a head dart onto the concrete. He's kind of out of it, but he's getting up, and I jump on him, and I put my knee in his neck, and I put the pistol up to his head. I'm like, bro, if you move, I'm gonna kill you. And he just stopped, he just paralyzed, and he's like, okay, calm down. I really believe he was just a crazed fan. McAfee had the tendency to make people crazy, and I was the only thing standing in between John McAfee and those threats coming at him. One night, I'm working late at night, like every other night, doing these business deals. It's 2 a.m. in the morning. I'm just closing up. One of the guards offered me a drink, and I drank it, and about 20 minutes later, I literally felt like I started tripping off LSD. Like everything closed in, this massive dark presence came over me, and it was like a voice told me to get up and run. I ran out of the house. I stripped out of my clothes. It was dead of winter in Ocracoke, North Carolina. I crawled in this wet marsh and hid in the mud, covered myself in the mud like the Predator, and waited there all night just shivering. I don't know if John drugged me, but something happened. I lost my freaking mind for 24 hours. It was the coldest night I've ever had in my life, and that's pretty cold coming from a SEAL. I did the walk of shame back in the morning, back to the house. I was pretty sure that John McAfee had drugged me at that point, but I still didn't know. John said, calm down, go to sleep, take these pills. I said, no. I said, I'm not taking those. And I told him straight to his face, you're not the man that I thought you were all along. I see right through you now. I know exactly who you are, and I'm freaking done. And then I left the house with nothing. Left everything. Left everything. Gold, silver, everything. I had no idea that this was the last time that I was gonna see John McAfee. The FBI started sending letters to my house, and I knew that this could do us both in. They'd heard about our pump and dump crypto scam. They wanted me to squeeze on John, but I wasn't gonna snitch, so I went on the run. I was a fugitive from the FBI on the run for 2 years. I was in Colombia, El Salvador, and Nicaragua. I was super paranoid. I just kept moving around all the time, paranoid. And John McAfee was on the run as well at the same time in Spain. They say every outlaw comes home to see their mom one last time. I was no different. I was homesick. She's like, where you been? I said, Mom, I got some things to tell you. I said, I just bought a one-way ticket to Bali. And if anybody's ever said bye to their mom or relative or loved one one last time, it's terrible. It's gut-wrenching. All of a sudden, after I told my mom this black SUV just slams up, almost like runs into me. And a guy, he opens the door and he said, Jimmy Watson. I put my hands up and I turn, and there's like 15 FBI agents just swarming me, plainclothes, bearded out guys. It might sound crazy to say, but I got this major sense of relief. Like, thank God it's over. Like, my life may be over. I might be going to prison for a long time, but at least I'm not on the run anymore. I was charged with 8 felonies: conspiracy, crypto touting, money laundering, wire fraud, conspiracy to commit fraud, and racketeering. My lawyer said, oh man, it's 12 to 15 years, Jimmy. You're gonna do time for this, brother. And I'm like, for that? For the crypto thing? I get let out on house arrest, and they put this big old R2-D2 ankle bracelet on me. And John, I wasn't surprised he was arrested in Spain. You know, he loves Spain. I'm on house arrest for like a year and a half, pending trial, because I'm waiting for John McAfee to be transferred from his Spanish prison to America, but he's fighting like hell because he don't want to be extradited back to America to stand trial with me. And one night, my phone just starts blowing up. I get a call from my lawyer. John McAfee lost his extradition case yesterday, but that very hour, they found him hung in his prison cell. He's dead, Jimmy. It was heartbreaking to hear that John McAfee died. John was like a father to me, but he was also like a SEAL commander to me. And on top of that, you know, John McAfee died. John owed me a lot of money. I basically committed a $40 million fraud scheme and had nothing to show after all that was said and done.